Hello, Bloomington. I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the week of March 8th. Last week's Council Minute had a lot of information, but there is one topic from our meeting on March 1st that I wanted to be sure to cover because it affects an important service to our residents, and it's important to one of our strategic priorities, which is sustainability. Last week, the City Council talked about how the city will incorporate organics recycling into our solid waste collection program. Little background here. Hennepin County Ordinance 13 requires cities with more than 10,000 people to make curbside residential organics recycling service available by January 1st, 2022. So what is curbside organics recycling? Well, it's the curbside collection of organic material in a separate cart. Organics are any item that came from a plant or an animal that will eventually turn into compost. So we're talking about all food scraps, including meat and dairy products. We're talking about pizza boxes and napkins and paper towels, certified compostable service items like plates and cups and takeout containers, and other household items like coffee grounds, paper egg cartons, and Kleenex. After the organics are collected from the curb, they're taken to a commercial composting facility where they're recycled and turned into compost. And if you're a gardener, like I am, you know that compost is a nutrient-rich soil amendment that really gives flowers and vegetable plants a shot in the arm. Studies on what goes into the waste stream, like the one that Hennepin County did in 2016, continue to show that organic materials are the largest proportion of our trash. It makes up about 25% of the trash stream. The collection of organic material at the curb is important to the city's sustainability and overall solid waste reduction goals. These goals include the City Council's strategic priorities related to reducing the citywide carbon footprint, reducing the volume of solid waste delivered to landfills and incinerators, improving water quality, and improving customer service for trash and recycling. Now, the benefits of organics recycling are well documented. They do make sense for Bloomington. The question now is how best to do it. At our meeting on March 1st, the Council gave direction to staff on a couple of really important decisions. First, the Council decided that haulers will deliver a cart to all customers prior to the start of the organics program. In addition, the Council decided that all households in the solid waste program will be billed for organics, much like our recycling service. Residents will be able to opt out of participating by declining to receive a cart, but will not be able to opt out of paying for the program. Staff has a lot more work to do on this following the Council direction, and will bring back final program details and recommendations for approval in May. It's anticipated that the new service will begin in early 2022. The City of Bloomington has been a leader in Minnesota on many issues for the past several decades. One of the most impactful innovations was launched 2 years ago, the city's Opportunity Housing Ordinance. The purpose of the Opportunity Housing Ordinance is to encourage and assist in the development and preservation of affordable housing for families who are part of the workforce in the City of Bloomington and who make 60% or less of the area median income, and that's typically shortened to AMI. Now, it's important to note that the AMI for the entire Twin Cities is about $103,000 a year. Specifically here in Bloomington, the average household income is quite a bit less than that, about $75,000 a year, and that's based on the U.S. Census Bureau's American Community Survey data. So when we're thinking about an appropriate affordable housing policy for Bloomington, we're focused on households earning between $31,000 and $62,000 each year. Now stop for a second and think about all of the jobs around Bloomington that fit in that income range. Early career professionals like teachers and office workers, healthcare workers and healthcare providers like personal care attendants, and the folks who power our hospitality industry as food service workers and hotel staff. Spend just a minute thinking about it, and it's clear why housing that people can afford is such an important factor in ensuring a healthy local economy so everyone in our community can thrive. In 2019, the Opportunity Housing Ordinance was the first in the region based on an affordable housing nexus study and a feasibility analysis that documented the relationship between new market rate rental housing development and the need for additional affordable housing in the city. In other words, we studied the cost of building new rental housing in today's market. We looked at the data for how many units of affordable housing are needed in Bloomington and in the metropolitan region, and then we quantified how many units should be required in any new development that can be afforded by renters with an annual income below the Twin Cities average. This week, the City Council considered revisions and updates to the ordinance based on feedback from the City Council and the Housing and Redevelopment Authority over the past couple of years, community and stakeholder engagement, and the experience we gained in implementing the ordinance over the past year. There is no doubt that this ordinance has been very effective. In just 15 months, the city has approved 6 new affordable housing developments, meeting a critical need in a time when housing costs are climbing while housing incomes have not kept pace. 2 additional developments are currently under review. And one of the hallmarks of any innovative program is that it requires tinkering. We have learned new things as we've implemented it over the past year, and we're making improvements based on what we've learned. About the same time we passed the Opportunity Housing Ordinance, we also established the Affordable Housing Trust Fund to assist projects that need a financial boost. One of the biggest barriers to new affordable housing is that construction costs are often higher than the profits that come from rents. Many of these projects have 4 or 5 different revenue sources, including federal tax credits, state housing funds, and nonprofit backing. Even with all of those sources, many projects still don't pencil out, and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund helps close that gap for projects that meet our guidelines. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund has a revolving loan fund, meaning that dollars that are invested in projects are replenished over time so that the fund becomes self-sustaining over many decades. The trust fund is managed by the Bloomington Housing and Redevelopment Authority, and it's administered by the city's finance department. Bloomington is once again leading the way in the Twin Cities, showing how effectively local governments can work with private and nonprofit developers to meet a critical need in our community and in the region. And like any innovation, along the way, we'll continue to make improvements as we go. This week marked the start of the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin. For many in our community, this will be a difficult time as George Floyd's death is revisited throughout the trial. I wanted to take a minute to share with you what we're doing at the City of Bloomington over the next couple of months during the trial. As a community, we need to stay connected and find ways to support one another. At the city, we're making sure staff have access to supportive services and opportunities for safe space discussions. Over the past several months, the Bloomington Police Department has been working in collaboration with other law enforcement agencies throughout the metro to ensure that plans are in place. Plans to protect peaceful, nonviolent public demonstrations, and plans to prevent any unlawful behavior or destruction of property. In the coming weeks, you may see an increased police presence in our city, and we are grateful for that. I've said many times that the Bloomington Police Department is the best trained and most professional collection of officers in the state of Minnesota. And that's not just the traditional work of patrol and investigation, it's how they engage with our entire community. The Bloomington Police Department is committed to maintaining open communication with our residents should our officers be called to respond to any unrest. If you aren't already following BPD on Twitter, please do so, as this is how information and update will be shared quickly with the community. As always, we're asking our residents to be aware of your surroundings as you move around the city and to avoid any large groups or large police presence that you may see. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact Bloomington Dispatch at 952-563-4900, or as always, call 911 for emergencies. Well, that's a wrap on this week's Council Minute. I hope you'll see you again next week. Stay safe, Bloomington.